Is anyone in here logged into the?
I can log in if you want.
No, I'm not.
So you just have, so we know that we can see
No,
it.
when I'm actually not sharing.
No, when you're not sharing, yes. So you want feedback loop too, right?
Am I sharing?
What?
Am I sharing?
Oh, yes, you are.
Okay, cool.
No, I meant the audio feedback loop.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that I could live without.
Yeah.
Yes, you're sharing though. This is.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I can go into production mode. All right, we're going to get started. Welcome to sprint number 2 for Drake. There we go. Okay, so this was a 3-week sprint. We accepted a lot of story points into the sprint, which we tend to like to do. We have a long history of that. We completed 71 story points, which is, I'd say, just about on average for what we normally complete. And you can see the remaining story points from that. And just for some history's sake, you can see from Drake and Cardinal just how many we've taken on for story points and how many we have completed. So we're running somewhere around 80, 85, I'd say, on average. I think maybe we want to be less ambitious about what we pull into the sprint, so we don't have to keep rolling them into the sprint after sprint. But anyways, that's what it looks like. Okay, so starting with platform, and who's going to cover platform?
Platform.
Yep, who filled this slide out?
I have no idea.
This is normally Thomas that fills this out.
Okay, so maybe Thomas did while he was.
So I can read the slide if you'd like.
Okay,
Yeah.
So aside from reading the slide, is there anything that the technical steering team would like to add to the, for comments on this slide?
I mean, I think that Thomas has been working on a couple of things. One is REST API security and GUI security. And there's been some frameworks that he's been looking at, leveraging what we can from the frameworks that we already use and adding in what we can where we have deficiencies. But I think this has sort of been on our backlog for a long time. The 2 security related topics, and it's something that isn't hard. It just takes some time, and I think Thomas just thought that we were kind of getting to a point where people are starting to ask for it, so we should start to figure that out. The other part about the topology broadcast tree synchronization actually is a bug that we discovered through reactive forwarding. If the broadcast trees are computed independently and non-deterministically across the cluster, which was the case, then if you have an app like reactive forwarding that's doing hop-by-hop forwarding, you'll start down one path, and then you'll hit sort of a dead end because when you get to the other node, which has another master, it can't continue to go through. So this is sort of a feature improvement that was discovered, or deficiency that was discovered as a result of a bug. So Thomas put a fix for that in as well.
Okay. Core.
So yeah, I think we were able to get a few things done in this sprint. So the first one among that is state change notifications is now turned on and enabled in master. So this is some work that we started last sprint, completed a large part of it, but we were not able to turn it on because we ended up discovering some latent bugs when this was enabled. So all those issues are fixed now, and this feature is now on in master. In the process, the sort of the bugs that we fixed also contributed to better stability. So that's something that we have done in the process. The other thing that we did again as part of the change notification support is any updates that are made via the transactional map support also raise these notifications. This is important because use cases like the sort of the resource management feature is something that uses transactional support heavily, and it is important for us to have consistent notifications, irrespective of the medium through which these updates are made. The other thing that we did is also simplify the queue support by leveraging these notifications. One more feature we ended up adding this sprint is support for a relaxed consistency mode for reads in consistent map. So this feature was motivated by how reads happen in the config store, where the volume of reads is very high, but it can tolerate a relaxed consistency mode there. So this support lets someone to optionally, select a mode where reads can be, weakly consistent. And so another piece of work that was driven by Flavio is adding support for collecting various metrics for these distributed primitives. Right now, support exists for collecting usage metrics and latency metrics for maps, sets, queues, and all these other things. And these can be viewed simply by using the metric CLI support that we already have. And also we ended up fixing various bugs and making some stability improvements in the process. So yeah, this is all that we have done in core.
What does the matrices mean? So for instance, in APIs that can be extracted from
The
applications?
metrics. So this is actually at a very low level. So these primitives that get used through different applications, we are basically tracking, how much they get used. What are the different calls that are made, and what is the latency for each of these calls.
Just a log somewhere, or do they have APIs?
Yeah. So we already have a metric service, and we sort of log it to that, and you have like a central way where you can go to look at all these metrics.
Yeah, it's just a command that you type some metrics, and then you're going to see all the metrics that are available. So the idea is, for example, for a consistent map, you have this one map that you want to track. Then you can see the relations and the latency of the audio variations, how many times you got used.
Just for CLI.
Yeah, for the CLI.
So this metrics service different from the statistics service, or what?
Yeah. So this is different.
Repeat the question.
So the question is the metric service different from the statistics service that we have? This one is primarily aimed at API level metrics, collection on like latency metrics for various calls, not necessarily statistics of the network or the data plane.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay, Northbound.
So on the Northbound side, we have a couple of different things that are underway. One is the virtual network subsystem that we've talked about sort of over the past couple weeks and have some initial APIs in the incubator for, has begun development. The intent domain service is also something that we've been talking about, not as long as network virtualization, but the intent domain service is basically a solution to the multi-control app question. So if you want to run segment routing and SDN/IP and maybe some other routing logic all on the same network, the intent domain service allows you to split up your network into domains that are under sort of control of those different applications. And then the idea is that the intent framework using intent primitives will orchestrate end-to-end network solutions across the various domains. So that we've built the initial interfaces for. Been working with Aaron on some sample apps to help validate the APIs and also get the interaction right. He's got some working code there that's been under review. We've got some bug fixes. A lot of these have been things that have just come up from testing or the Internet 2 deployment. And also the proxy ARP manager, we've made some improvements on that side as well. So it's the Northbound update.
Thank you. Southbound?
Yeah. So this kind of overlaps with some other efforts. So the ACL Yang model has been implemented through our netconf Southbound and submitted by Happiest Minds. The OVSDB plugin is still in progress. Loxy submission to the upstream is, I started it, but then I ran into a few bugs in Loxy that I want to fix as well, so that stopped me. And the meter service implementation is nearly finished. I just need to build a distributed store, which should take just one more day, when I can find one more day.
Is it the meter service?
The meter service is to allow you, we need it for core. It's basically to allow you to meter specific flows. So I can attach a meter and rate limit that particular flow, and I can get stats about how many packets I've seen through that meter.
And you're doing this on some switch? Or?
No, I'm doing that in ONOS.
Yeah, but then you're...
Oh, it's an open flow construct. Actually, the OLT that we have supported. Well,
so the meters come out of ONOS, or the meters are coming from a switch, and you're making an assumption that they're somehow in the ONOS, and then you're giving it to someone?
No. So you define them in ONOS, and then ONOS goes provisions them down onto the switch.
Oh, okay. So that
right.
Okay.
And the application will have to build a flow, and then ask for that flow to be metered.
Okay.
It kind of like behaves like
metering is more rate limiting the flows. Right?
Yes.
It's instrumentation, right? So you're instrumenting the device and they start canceling the number of.
No.
packets.
No.
So this is open flow meter. So the construct is basically rate limiting.
It's just a.
So that's good. This means that finally we should be able to say, give me a rate limited flow between these two.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and then also will allow us to rate limit, customer connections, right? So that they actually get what they paid for and not more.
So is it like a policing function?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can police according to a certain rate, or to the burstiness of your traffic, or the certain parameters, and so on. Okay. So that's that.
And the OVSDB, that's in progress still through Huawei.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anyone from Huawei online or here to talk about that. Sure.
Do you have slides for that?
Yeah.
Well, then how about we
There's
wait until we
in
get
the
there?
ONOS framework section.
Yeah,
there's,
exactly. Maybe you want to wait until we get to that slide. Because he made a slide.
Are you logged in to GoToMeeting?
Yes, I already logged into the system, so actually after meeting I can merge Huawei slide with Google presentation.
Yeah, okay. So, but I can give you presentation rights right now, right? If you want to talk about it.
Well, we have a section on ONOS framework.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
all right.
later. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's what I was saying, and when I started this slide, is that a lot of this, what's in this slide, overlaps with other efforts.
Got it. All right. GUI, Simon, you online?
Online. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Just so you know that the topology overlays refactoring work is continuing. It's going to take a little bit more time to get that done, but essentially it's the traffic overlay, separating it, teasing it out from the topology code itself, so that it becomes a switchable overlay. In conjunction with that, I'm also putting together a little reference app to demonstrate an overlay from an application outside of core. So that will be available too. In terms of what else we've achieved, Bree did a fantastic job on completing the documentation of the APIs of the framework libraries that we had written for JavaScript. We have a loading wheel that appears when the server is sluggish, in terms of returning data from the tabular views. And also we have 6 bugs fixed, several of which dealt with Firefox and Safari rendering issues. So now I think we made Luca pretty happy because now he can use Firefox. And
Those are your fault.
yeah, so anyway, the UI now works a lot better with Firefox and Safari as well as Chrome. So not much else to report this time.
Okay. Thanks, Simon. Okay. Miscellaneous, I'll mention a few of them. So we had a few half-day meetings that were pretty consuming, actually, between having the meeting and the preparation and some things, and those weren't really planned. Then we had a 2-day cord meeting that happened this week, and Ollie was provided a presentation to a user group down in Dallas. So there's a number of things around community and partners that have been happening also during this sprint. And I know we've had a lot of code reviews from external contributions. I occasionally hear people, it's like, we have so many to review. How about the first bullet?
First bullet is something that Sahil worked on. This is his last project. Swagger is the framework for basically providing documentation for REST APIs.
Yep.
It has kind of a nice format, and it's got some nice properties, like it's machine readable and stuff. And so we now have a target in ONOS that lets you generate Swagger documentation for some of the REST APIs as part of the build.
Well, maybe I'll take this offline. I have a much more contentious proposition in that context, exactly. But it'll lead to like a lot of shouting and crying.
Okay. Okay. Super, are you going to talk to this one?
How are we gonna?
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can just talk about it. Just once. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, we tried to tackle too many stories this spring. It was not a focused effort, even though we tried to achieve most of the tasks inside the stories, but there was still some lingering in progress stuff left out, so that made us the entire story to look like not done yet. So I'm thinking maybe from next sprint onwards, we try to do focused execution, not just do random targets. We'll try to pick what we are going to execute, even if they are smaller tasks, smaller stories, we try to complete them. We want to see ultimately the done. That is the favorite buzzword in Agile. So we like to see the done word. We hate seeing in progress. So that's what I'm aiming to. And as you can see, like we started out picking too many things, try to run too many things in parallel. So we had IPv4 intent test suite completely ready. This is the new functionality test suite going forward, where you could add your own new test cases, new features, new variations, new scenarios, and everything will go inside that. So the old one is completely deprecated. And that's the same thing that could be consumed by the community. I think we have currently 2 groups. They consume our scripts. That is, one is Huawei, the other is Criterion Networks. 2 groups are consuming. I think I'm happy to say that, because at least there are some people, they really look at our scripts and they run them. I think that's how we grow ourselves, because based on their feedbacks, hopefully we will be better in writing much better scripts. And the other one is Criterion Networks. There's only one guy working on writing the test scripts. I think he's picking up. He got his cluster up and running. He has 2 test beds now, 2 different clusters. One he could use for development, another they're sharing with one more guy in Criterion so that he can learn. Their aim is to learn on us so that they can contribute to code. That's what I heard from them. They want to do coding. I don't know. They said they'll talk to Shuttle. That's another thing, slight deviation. And REST-based intent, we picked it up, I think, thanks to Ray. I think he added the REST stuff for intent recently. So we're trying to automate that stuff purely based on. Till now, we were doing only CLI-based testing. So now we are slowly moving towards REST-based supporting test for intents, and that is the basic portion is complete, but that still needs to be fine-tuned. The next one we are working on is the flow test suite, because now we can do add flows apart from intent framework. We are doing flow-based also, thanks to Huawei, because they are doing flow-based stuff. So even that test suite is in progress. And we added a new topology test suite. We are hoping to cover large-scale topologies there. Currently, we have two test case. We do run bigger topologies, but not the really big scale type, like 1,000 switches. So we'll add all the topology related stuff there. In that test suite, we started off building a least fine type topology there so that we can increase it and scale down depending on the requirements during the test case. That is one thing in progress. Another one is OSDB. I don't want to mention too much there. I just wrote that item there because we do review that code. That's why I had to put that item there, but maybe the Huawei person can give more details about how much OSDB testing was done. But the test suites we did receive, and they will go into production mostly during next sprints if they work. And I think they do have their own development related blockers. I'm not completely aware of those blockers. The next one is we did miscellaneous stuff like we have new install script for test on, and then we can run test on from Mac. We completely removed all the unnecessary files that were left out by Paxtera long time ago. We cleaned up the complete repo, and then we have the new functions to interrupt and added to those, so that people can just leverage them while writing test cases, and just to make it easier. And the next thing we added a basic support of IPv6 in CHOTAS. This is the experimental basis. I added it just to gauge how much IPv6 is working, so that will facilitate the IPv6 functionality test for criteria. So now I know that IPv6 actually basically works, so I will be able to help them during the next sprint so that we can complete this task. That was my aim. And as you can see, we have another thing, scale intent test suite, that is also in progress. And the next comes the Jira part. As you can see, we have 37 bugs open during the last sprint, and then 13 of them are closed. And there are still 92 outstanding bugs remaining since day one. And if you slide next, there's one slide. Yeah, these are the bugs of interest to QA, and I don't know how the priority works during the next sprint. We would like to see the closure for them if possible, and developers need to prioritize these tasks because I know they're bogged down with their development stories, but we still need them closure for them.
Okay, so I'll bring these into the planning meeting today.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Eric. All right.
All right. So
You want to come?
Near the French bread here.
So, as I guess you can see from the slide, it's been a pretty intense sprint where we had a very good synergy with all the developers here that they helped really a lot. And so the good news is that even if, as maybe you know, we didn't succeed to deploy ONOS Cardinal by SIGCOM, because this wasn't possible for some bugs that were around that we didn't have time to solve. The good news is that we found all these bugs, and the developers put lots of efforts to fix all these bugs that were in all the possible layers in ONOS. Okay. So the good news is that there are no more outstanding Jira issues for Internet 2. I need to go through the last version of the test suite that the Internet 2 provided to me, but hopefully there shouldn't be any more big issues. The other thing is that I installed here locally, now that I'm going to talk about this in a second, on the local Proxmox we have here, I installed the Internet 2 virtual machines, and everything is configured, working, and so the idea is to use this both for manual tests, like in these days we are doing, and for automated nightly tests after. All right, so lots of other good news also on other sides of the deployment. So AM Light, first of all, the network is, well, in general, the internet to network, AM Light network and GEM network are still up and running with Avoset just for the purpose of the SICOM demo. So we should be covered with that. And of course, the idea is that we are moving with all of them forward to put Cardinal and at this point, I would say Drake. Okay. The other good news is that these networks are becoming bigger. A good example is AM Light. In these days, we extended to, oh, I don't know why this is not the last, well, whatever. We extended to the Caribbean.
I can do that.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, just to give you some name. No, was there. Was already there. It's just, okay. Perfect. Sorry about that. So we extended this to CKLN, which is the research network of the Caribbean.
Let's go there.
Ah, fancy, huh?
Can we go there?
Ah, that's my hope.
On the regular
Gotta deliver it on a USB drive.
And RMP, that is another important research network in Brazil. So if you remember last time, there was a problem with Giant in Italy because basically there was the problem that everyone was kind of in vacation in August. So the solution to this problem, to solve this problem, we just allocated all the machines, the routers and the clients directly on GTS, which fortunately is not is an automated system and doesn't go in vacation. And so nothing. The network is working, is up again, and the three networks can talk together again. Okay. Cryonet and Kisti. We started a discussion that is moving forward. It's still not that clear, at least to me, the model on how we will best support these guys, but we are working and talking to them. What we know till now is that they are testing ONOS now with 2 Brocade and 2 Arista switches. Soon they will deploy the 4 ONOS instances running in Seoul on a completely dedicated new network, physical network. And the first switches will be distributed by August 28 in Seoul. And can someone help me with this name? Thank you. All right, so long-term plan, they want to do lots of stuff. SDNIP, network virtualization, packet optical, bandwidth on demand. These are just the basics of the things that they're thinking too, right? Okay, last slide, but not the least. Okay, infrastructure-related work, which took lots of our time in this iteration. So thanks to Ayaka, we have completely refactored the statistic website, not from the outside point of view, but from the internal point of view. Fortunately, from my crappy code unmaintainable, we went to something completely maintainable. So I think this I think this was important, right? So because at the end it was always a mess to add or remove something, so now we can do it. ONOS 1.3 is running here again. Maybe you're gonna have some problems. Running means that I recabled everything, I make sure that all the links works properly and ONOS is deployed. Okay, next sprint at the beginning we will test it with reactive forwarding. At least we are on the good way. Proxmox migration, the most important thing and the thing that should give you more benefit, at least from the next sprints. Great hardware improvement. We bought lots of new stuff.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's buy more stuff.
We went from servers with 64 gigs of RAM to 160. So we have lots of more resources, and hopefully lots of you that ask me the resources, now we can give those resources to you.
Does that mean I can increase my memory rate?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it means.
Can I?
More or less. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Great. So Well, okay, not too many technical details anyway. We have a bunch of SSD, we run on ZFS, we will have finally a backup, lots of new stuff, right? New version of Proxmox, which is really much more better. New storage, we will be able to do live migration. And the good news is that I hope you like this. The idea is to give you, to any one of you, a shared NFS folder backed up on our storage, which will be mountable on each VM you use, right? And the final idea is to bind this with Crowd, so you will log in with your username and password, and basically the share will be mounted automatically in the VM you are using. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Any plans to include non-Apple access points?
Not right now.
Any plans
Include non-Apple access points because the Windows are not connecting to the Apple access point. Every half an hour it gets disconnected.
Yep.
I need to reconnect it.
It was a laptop. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, I mean,
It
it's clearly a software problem, so.
Yeah, well, the generic answer is that it was not a priority right now. We had some minor complaints like yours, but compared to the big work on Proxmox, we gave priority to that, and we still don't have a vision on when to replace the access points.
It's one of those things that,
It should. I mean, it's a problem, right?
I mean, if it's a problem, Apple should fix it, or Microsoft should fix it.
Microsoft should fix it.
Not our problem.
Thank you, Luca.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any update on Packet Optical. Is there anybody who does have one?
Yeah, we are.
Get closer to the mic.
Yeah, we had discussion with Min from Fujitsu, and we are putting together sort of a plan with we from Huawei and him to create a white box environment for the next level of packet optical testing. And Min from Fujitsu have given us some direction that comes from AT&T specifically on the components of the packet optical. So we are in the planning stage right now.
Okay.
So we'll probably have a meeting on, we are creating this open forum on packet optical group or something. So we're waiting for me, to have something.
Any update on the metro side? Metro?
Yeah, this is for kind of a metro thing as well, and OTN seems to be also part of it. So it seems from this perspective.
Yeah, but do we develop better understanding of metro and how to apply packet optical to that, or that's not?
We had a few meetings with Bill Ramrep from AT&T and others. So we have some diagrams and pictures of what we could show, but we're trying to see if we can do this with some real components rather than some emulators.
Thank you, Tom.
Because
Okay. Is this where James is gonna?
Yeah.
So in order for
So he's going to share slides from forward.
Okay. All right. So I need to transfer. Okay. You should have the ability to present.
Yeah, he's switching from the desktop HTML to the desktop version. Maybe we can come back to these slides. Can we go to the Yeah,
Want me to keep
skip
going?
Huawei for now and
Yeah.
go back.
Okay, all right. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. All right,
So we can go to the comp.
okay. So Ali already mentioned this in the Southbound section, but I wanted to add that there's also some additional implementation details and demo video links that they added to the wiki. Actually, the Dropbox, I guess.
What does ACL mean here?
Yeah,
Long ACLs, what does ACL
Access
mean?
control list.
access control list.
Access control list.
Uh-huh. So if you want to configure ACLs on a switch, good to go.
Using netcom?
Uh-huh.
And for a particular hardware device, or what device is this
I
for?
can't remember what I think it's one of the stock Yang models that come. So like it's an IEEE. It's a standard model.
IETF.
Yeah, IETF, sorry, IETF. Freaking standards organizations.
Okay, Cord. So to start by saying we had a planning meeting in Atlanta this week with AT&T, Ciena, Huawei, ONF. Folks participated in that as well. Goal is to get everyone in the same room and make as many decisions as possible around where we're headed with Cord for both the development system as well as the test and then the market trial systems. Also, put everything on the table that needed to get done and started assigning responsibilities for those items. And then another part of the meeting was to get partners up to speed. So there's a document that's still in process, summarizing a discussion. That'll get shared soon. And some of the next steps are to use that to form some Scrum teams and then define how those Scrum teams are going to coordinate, so getting some structure around the project. And then each team is going to get active creating more stories from the kind of the high level things that we know we want to do, but get them down into Jira stories, and then get the iteration kicked off with the planning session. And did you add this one, Ollie, the verification of
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a new drop from PMC and I tested it against our test harness. And most of the things that were implemented work. But again, with lots of caveats, but they work.
Yeah.
So it's slight progress. It's not too bad.
Is there anything else from Cord that?
Is John over here? Well, John was starting to work on packaging up our OpenWRT installation. Although it's not clear how useful that will be in light of the discussions we had at AT&T. Other than that, not much. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Sorry. I forgot it before. We have Debian and RPM packages. Sorry if I come up randomly with this pin, but I really forgot it. Well, what I said, we have Debian and RPM packages of ONOS. So now if you do ONOS package --RPM, it's going to be generated in RPM. If you do --deb, it's going to be generated in deb. And amazing, huh? Surprisingly. And well, I believe from the next releases, we can put directly on the website, maybe we will talk about it, maybe just the RPM and the deb also, right? So that a user can just go there and do apt-get install, ONOS, boom, installed. Okay?
Nice.
All right.
Ali, what have you decided on the spinal leaf switches with the like atrium environment with is it not
Probably
not there,
it's
right?
probably going to be Acton.
Okay. Do we have the reference
Yes, we have
information?
the model number.
Can you share that with me? Okay, thanks.
You can also ask your colleague in AT&T.
Or to have that
Like Don. No, I can give it to Don.
So the question was what switch will be supporting in the cord environment, and at this point, probably be an active switch. But more of these details will get published in some of the meeting notes soon. Okay, cord fabric.
So this is actually, so we're doing some testing with the OFDK based switches. They're actually the actors. So yeah, so we're testing pushing labels and matching. So right now, on the current software, we're able to push with full labels. We failed to match MPLS labels, and we failed to push. Sarah talked to someone from Optical something, so now we have updated software and we're gonna test that. So that's exactly it. We're trying to test the switch to replace the Dell switches. Yeah, so that's something. And the other thing is that we've done. We're almost finishing this core fabric VM. So basically, it's just to show the basic functionality of the segment routing application, and just packing it in the VM to make it easier for whoever wants to use it.
Thank you. Okay, so Tricon, you're going to talk about A-cord.
Okay, so in this sprint again, similar to last one, we were little more ambitious in planning. But I would say that we could achieve at least 50% of what we planned. So again, on the discussions front, there were multiple discussions between ON.Lab, AT&T, and Ericsson to define the scope of this whole A-card. So in the discussions, the outcome of those discussions, we split into 3 phases, and as per the timelines shown there, phase 1 is targeted for end of September, phase 2 is end of this year, and phase 3 is end of the first quarter 2016. I have a few slides on telling what's the scope of each of this phase. Not phase 3 scope is completely finalized, but phase 1, phase 2, we have more clarity. And in parallel, we are also doing the kilometer investigations on how we can leverage that whole framework in our A-card platform. So we brought up a OpenStack cluster in the Cloud Lab, which I'm using right now for the kilometer investigations. And we are able to retrieve the basic meters from the OpenStack services like Nova, Glance, Neutron. On top of that, I just added for some experimentation to add some new meters. I introduced some OLT active subscribers and see what all to be done inside the framework to introduce a new meter type. And also we have developed a ONOS driver inside the kilometer framework to fetch or parse the responses from the ONOS meters. So these are the investigations outcome.
Can I make a question?
Sure.
Are this the same meters Ali was talking about?
No, that's what. So we are overloading the meters. He has a meter service in
I think you should use metrics rather than meters.
Analyze with Fabio. We call it A meters.
So OpenStack calls them as a meter, kilometer, meter service. So I don't know which. And he has brought up a new meter service, I guess. No.
The original meters.
Okay, can you please move on to the next slide? So I just wanted to share some of the artifacts from the discussions that were with the AT&T, ON.Lab, and Ericsson. So at a high level, this is what we are targeting for the market trial Q1 2016. So the framework that we are calling it as XOS analytic framework, for now it is also called as instrumentation as a service. That fetches meterings or metrics from different elements in the card, such as the servers or the services that are running on the servers or ONOS or directly from the OpenFlow white boxes and the OLT GPON. On the Northbound side, the plan is to provide a query-based and PubSub-based APIs. And to demonstrate this platform, we wanted to showcase with some open source analytic apps. And in parallel, if any vendors have their own proprietary analytics app, they can integrate with this platform and showcase the use cases. So this is at a high level, the layout of the platform. The next slide also gives you a little more details of what is inside in that platform. So as you see there, XOS Analytics framework is more or less based on the OpenStack Ceilometer, which has the notification and polling based fetching the meters from various parts of the network and provide it to the collector that can be stored in the database and queried later on, or it can be notified to all the subscribed applications. So here event correlators are the analytics apps that are using those meters or metrics coming from that framework and correlate the events and feed back those events into the framework to be consumed by some other higher layer applications.
So Shrikant, so with that lower dynamic probe VMs that you're showing there, there are a bunch of NFTs or analytic functions that run there that
Yes.
you call to get different sensors. And
So
all
these
that.
event correlators, when they need more in-depth analysis of the traffic or something, they can use this dynamic analytic platform framework to create a VM with the application provided image that can do L7 level deep packet inspection and generate back the event metrics into the framework.
Right. So my point was that whole dynamic, we could add additional VMs or
Yes,
or
yes,
functions as we needed to get more dynamic.
correct. The
That's
image,
it.
that VM come from the application. So application provides that VM image to the framework, and framework all it does the spawn a VM with that image. So in future, the event correlators could also become a XOS generic services, so that other applications can leverage the meters coming from those event correlators. Yeah, can you move on to that? So this is the high level items that we are targeting in the phase 1, which is the end of September. So as you see in the picture, we wanted to bring up a basic framework inside the XOS that fetches different meters from the ONOS and the compute nodes. And for now, we wanted to bring some basic meters from the OLTCP BNG services that are available in the card. So we want a meter agnostic framework using the Ceilometer and some low hanging meters from various services. We also wanted to do a performance study on how this framework can fit it into the bandwidth intensive environment like mobility, where you might be receiving more metrics, and integrate Ceilometer into the XOS as a service. And for now, we wanted to provide only the query interface, and PubSub will be part of the phase 2. To demonstrate this metering framework, we wanted to develop a dashboard inside the XOS to show various meters that are extracted from those elements. And in the phase 2, yeah. So the brown color boxes are what we are planning to add on top of the phase 1. The PubSub API notification is the one important one which directly notifies to all the subscribed applications. We also wanted to get some richer meters from the white boxes and the OLT GPON hardware that we have inside the card. And to demonstrate this platform, we wanted to come up with some 2 or 3 potential applications on top of this framework. For now, we are thinking of auto scaling as one use case, but the other 2 are needs to be refined more. We don't know the scope of that, but it could be customer care or congestion avoidance, something similar to what we have done in the card fabric using the S-flow. Yeah, one last.
Depends on just one clarification. This may suggest I think the phase 2 begins in Q4. My understanding with Kamis and others is that these are overlapping phases. It may get done in
Yeah.
Q4, but these are
No, the
overlapping
beginning we
phases.
don't know, but the ending is of Q4 2015. The beginning we can do.
Overlapping, and another thing is there the nomenclature new additions to framework from ON.Lab that I don't know. I think again this is offline conversation. There is a still Ericsson taking the responsibility.
Okay, I mean this is yeah my contributions to those components in phase 2 through the ON.Lab or yeah from there.
Again, this is maybe
Sure.
a long journey. And these things are showing it directly going from the white boxes into the listener and agent. So I'm not sure how that works. I mean, will it go through
No, it could.
ONOS or it will go through?
I mean, if ONOS can fetch those meters and provide it to the framework, well and good. If ONOS doesn't have that kind of, suppose if it is a REST API to the white box directly, or if it is a some other.
White boxes will have those kinds of other interfaces?
Today, OpenFlow provides very rudimentary statistics. If you want to get some richer information from the white boxes, we need to go through a different interface other than the OpenFlow.
So if it supports SFlow, for example.
Yeah, SFlow could be another interface. So that SFlow collector would be there in the framework, which will directly get the meters.
You think of, okay, I see. The S-flow can be that, okay.
Sorry, is that, are these changes that you show under the XOS umbrella, that's actually changes in XOS or changes in OpenStack ceilometer?
OpenStack ceilometer.
Okay. So that's what
but that will be
entire Ericsson is working in.
Yes.
Okay.
So the actual data collection doesn't go through ONOS. It gets copied wherever, when you mirror it in a certain location.
But that is not coming in the phase 2. The dynamic analytic platform which instantiate those VMs, that is not in the phase 2 scope.
So does the SFlow actually copies the stuff through ONOS? It brings it up through ONOS, or does it go just copy it somewhere to the...
Well,
SFlow sends it to a data collector.
The collector can reside anywhere.
So collector can be anywhere. It doesn't bug the ONOS,
It doesn't bother ONOS.
So in this same phase, Ericsson takes this whole framework and integrate with a analytic app that Ericsson has it in experimental mode to find out any early integration issues. Yeah, I have one last slide, I guess. Yeah, this is just the ceilometer investigations that we were doing inside the OpenStack. So we introduced a new meters like OLT active subscribers to find out what all code that we need to change for any new meter additions. And also we developed a ONOS driver inside the ceilometer that can call the ONOS REST APIs and pass the REST output to display those meters. So all the OF devices are the ONOS related meters, and ODL meters and the OLT meters are here. That's it. Thank you.
This is from Mateo, and I just wanted to see what was happening as the next step after Icona. And they're in the process of setting up a test bed with 4 ONOS clusters. And what they're planning to do starting after Drake is it's a 6-to-8-month initiative. It's an ONOS multi-domain peering system so that they can further the work that was done with Icona, having different ONOS clusters be able to work together. So there's more information coming soon on the wiki page, so stay tuned for that.
Do you want to go back to OpenID?
Sure.
If you want. What is FW? ONOS FW?
Framework. That's the official project name in OPNFV.
Okay.
My name is James Yang from Huawei Santa Clara team. So I'm going to report status for Huawei team in this sprint. So the status including 2 parts. So one part is from development team, another is from the technical team. So that's okay. So for this sprint, Huawei development team. So actually, it's added the following the features to the ONOS. One is infrastructure network service initialization. Another is the multiple tenant layer 2 network service. So on the the right side is the detail of the functions. Okay, Huawei development team so far the complete the work. So in this sprint, actually, they created 38 Jira tasks. Actually, we have we done all the tasks. Actually, the 82% task resolved. Still 18% task is still under reviewing. There's 25,000 lines of code contribute to the ONOS the framework. 95% code has been submitted, approved, and merged. 5% is still under reviewing.
Is there anyone working with you at ON.Lab on this, or is this completely a Huawei effort?
Yeah, actually, this is a complete Huawei effort. Actually, also the ON.Lab team have Huawei team do the review. Yeah.
So we've done some overview on the design and direction and code review, but the development work is all happening.
Okay. And when you do review, you don't actually test it, do you? I mean, you're not running OBS and OBSDB and making sure that tunnel ports are getting created or something. Okay. Is there a plan that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Testing is also done by them. They are testing.
Who's testing?
Huawei. They are writing the scripts, but maybe we'll try to run in our lightly.
Right.
But I don't think we have the complete end-to-end infrastructure because they'll be using OpenStack.
We don't need to.
Yeah, I'm going to report testing status in the next slide.
Okay.
So there are total 10 Jira stories. So far, 9 Jira stories have been resolved. So only one is still under reviewing. The functional, actually, those functional tests, actually, this part is done by the development team, so not by the Huawei testing team. So total 15 functions has been tested. 11 functional functions passed the test. So they're still working on the 4 functions. They're still testing that. There are some bugs found it. So for the next 2 weeks, development team will focus on the bug fixing, also optimize our code. At the last week from August 24 to August 28. So they also will prepare a demo.
Which UI is that you're optimizing?
It's on the topology. So right now they find some issues on the topology.
No, I mean, I meant, is it the ONOS GUI that the UI is referring
Yeah. It's I think it's a topology UI some part because from what I've heard is that there's some so when they added the new bridge, the old device still there, still on the topology, cannot be removed for some reason.
But is it ONOS GUI or OPNFV GUI?
No, it's ONOS GUI.
It's ONOS GUI.
Well, that's just, if the old device is disconnected, we still keep it, right?
Yeah. We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be that.
So yeah, might be.
Also, is there any plans of putting something on the wiki, on the ONOS wiki, describing how to bring this up? how to test it, how to
Yeah.
create our own, an infrastructure over here
Yeah.
at ON.Lab to reproduce this work.
Yeah. Yes.
That would be very useful, very helpful.
Yeah. We're going to do that. Yeah, because there are still actually the most part of work is done, but still something is still going on there. So, yeah.
Because I think we do need to bring up the infrastructure over here as well to test this. So,
right. Okay.
So any directions, any help that you can give, that would be very useful.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, that's the code path. So far, we're checking into the gate. So that's all the code path is there. So yeah, that's all for the developing team. Yeah. That's for the testing team. So far, the test environment has been set up. They use the ONOS Mini-Night OVS and test on the automation tool. The test plan, so including the 3 levels. The first one is test Northbound API. Second one is test OVS DB. The last one, they use the VM to go through the entire the setup. So in this sprint, so far testing team have done the Northbound API test and OVS DB functional test. Okay, this is test cases. Also, you see there's attachment there, so Huawei will give all the test cases to the ON.Lab. This is the Jira task related to the test scripts. So far, Huawei testing team finished all this the Jira task. And this is Northbound API test result. So far, Northbound API run 6 test cases and 4 test cases passed and 2 failed. Actually, the percentage success is nearly 70%. So they have some bug found in the Northbound API. For the OSDB, so right now, so all the test passed. Okay, so what we are going to do for the next? So we're still because some test cases they're still reviewing with the ON.Lab, and Huawei testing team will run the full regression test after the bugs fixed. And also finally, so they are going to run a full manual test, and the test will last 2 weeks. Also, just like we just talked about it, also Huawei will post the documentation on the wiki about how to run this test. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Do I need to release control or? Nope, I can do it. Okay.
Sam's going to do this.
Yeah, so I've been working on the DHCP server for the last 2 sprints, and the application is complete. I've added unit tests for it, and it has been merged into the ONOS app samples branch. It's a standalone application that sits on top of ONOS, and it listens for DHCP requests and assigns new hosts or existing hosts IP from a pool of free IPs. It has a configurable server. Any network administrator can configure the server by hosting a JSON file, and all sorts of parameters are configurable, like the IP of the server, what is the free range of IPs. All these parameters are configurable. It uses a distributed store so that there's a consistent view of the list of free IPs across all the instances. And I've also added 4 new CLIs, which is to list all mapping, to list what the server offers as the lease. Then if a network administrator wants to set a static mapping, typically a mapping which does not expire for a really long time, and another one to remove a static mapping. And I've also added support to integrate new host information like MAC IP mapping into the topology. That's about it.
This is great. When are we putting it on the office network?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think so.
I might get a lot of bugs then, but
All the better.
People standing on your shoulder.
Exactly.
Can I configure the DHCP options?
Sorry?
DHCP options.
What options?
DHCP options. Number of options there, 60, 160, 200. Inside the DHCP, we can set the options.
Yeah, so some of the options are configurable. Some of them are not supported.
How about VCP? So only before. So this is DHCP.
DHCP relay. What else?
Smart's going to set all the options.
Example.
Yeah, I mean, the target for the DHCP app is kind of like a small office environment, kind of, yeah. I mean, if you want a full-blown DHCP client, then there are other open source tools, but if you just want a basic DHCP server that you can configure some parameters on and just have DHCP service on a pure SDN network, it should be good to go.
Small, medium business owners.
Almost
Yeah, it has DNS.
It has DNS. So you can.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you can assign a gateway.
Who has information on this slide?
So this is me.
No.
So 2 other things that we're doing. The next is we have an intent-based reactive forwarding application. This was written pre-Avocet and has sort of given us more questions than it seems to be helping people. The good news is some of the bugs that we had with the app and some of the questions and sort of old patterns that we used in this app, we're starting an overhaul of it. It'll be another sample application that people could use. It'll do reactive forwarding, but it'll provision intents in response rather than doing hop-by-hop flows. And that's what Sam is going to be working on next. The next one is reactive forwarding. As we sort of alluded to on the platform page, there were some errors we discovered by having a non-deterministically generated broadcast tree. Some of that's been fixed. There's also some bugs in reactive forwarding where in a distributed environment, some packets are getting dropped for other random reasons, and some of those fixes have been made. So we see fewer drop packets for the reactive forwarding app in the distributed environment.
All right, Ping Ping. Come up by the mic, Ping Ping.
This sprint, the STIP is relatively stable on a little larger topology. I use 6 switch. You can add more than 6, and 100 peers, and still 600,000 routes. In this sprint, I moved from the 2 VMs to 2 bare metal servers. One is for Minet and one for ONOS. We also noticed the running Quagga in the SDN network the performance is not good enough, so I replaced it with the board. And to let the whole system run very stably, I should to control the speed from SMP to Internet framework. Not because Internet framework can handle, because if we insert into a switch too fast, the switch will the connection between switch and the ONOS will have something wrong. And make sure the OS with switch D not use a very high CPU, make it not busy. Otherwise, all things will go wrong. And give you some detailed number. For the VM bare metal, it uses up about 41 gigabytes memory, and each core guy uses about 0.5 gigabytes, and board only use 100 megabytes. For the whole environment, ONOS use about 10 megabytes memory. 10 gigabytes memory. And some switches have about 600,000 flow interest, and some are about 1.3 million. In this process, I found three major issues we should solve, and one compatibility issue. One the flow signaler. Not because the flow signaler is wrong, just when the flow signaler is working, the switch will be very super busy, and then the link discovery and the connection are going bad, and ONOS may lost some links. Then it can compute the intent. A lot of wrong things happen. The second is when the switch is busy, ONOS can fail to insert the intents. Then ONOS will cost a lot of memory, like 33 gigabyte memory, and ONOS dead there. The CLI, you can't log in the CLI and can't do anything. The third one is sometimes the number of routes and the intents are not inconsistent. These three are big problems we need to solve before the real deployment. The fourth one is the compatibility issue between SDN-IP and the board. When they set up the BGP connection, there's the message SDN-IP think there's some wrong message from board. This is easy to solve. And the next step is maybe we should discuss what kind of switch we want to use to build the test environment. Or still the OVS switch, and how many BGP peers we want to set down, and we should insert more complicated IP prefix. It at least need IP prefix aggregation, and choose the best path, like those things, need some calculation inside, and put the insert some data traffic in data class. This is for that.
But shouldn't the next steps be to fix those issues?
Maybe not like those issues are massive, maybe long term. For some issues are very simple to fix. Maybe one day to solve, but for
Yes, I guess I'm not following you. Why would you want to fix the issues?
Why?
Why not?
Well, actually, the first issue Ali and I are already aware of, right? So we have some ideas that at some point we will work on.
There's a team Korea, I'm gonna say, that's already done adaptive flow sampling. They use actually the same ideas that we were talking about.
Okay.
So as far as I've seen, it's slideware right now. I haven't seen any code, but I have heard that there is code somewhere. I haven't seen it. It's not in Garrett, so I don't know. It's somewhere.
And it also depends on what kind of switch we use. If the performance of the switch is good, then we can do a lot of things. If the performance not, then we can't. So this is.
So you're saying you can't do much about it. Okay.
Yeah, and also thanks Jono for a lot of discussions. That's all.
Yeah, so this is what Ali was referring to.
Oh, there it is.
I don't think we have anyone on Etri online now.
They're in Korea, right?
Right. It's kind of early. I don't know what time is it. But anyways, there's information in these two slides on what Etri is working on. And you're correct. They're in the process right now of completing unit tests in their system test. So we are going to see some software soon.
So they're gonna push everything in one go.
But we have asked them to behave differently in the future. Yes.
Okay. Well, all right. That's fair enough.
But do you agree with the design?
Well, so I was told that they were going to attack the problem, and then I got a slide deck, and then a day and a half later, I was told there was code already implemented. So I had questions about the design, but by the time the code was implemented, the code was implemented. So I mean, like, we'll see, because the slide deck didn't even. I mean, the slide deck was basically what you saw in the previous slide, right? So it wasn't the most.
So again, I educated them on a better process,
right? So they,
getting engaged and staying inside.
So there wasn't much discussion before.
So do you even know what short, mid, long, immediate means?
Kind of. It's they're in polling intervals, and initially everything is immediate, right? You can based on detecting how long certain flows have been around, right? You pull them less frequently for those particular ones. So you treat flows differently according to when they were put into the store, which is in itself not a bad idea.
How do you find extra flows in the search?
So that's wasn't clear in their presentation. I'm gonna have to see the code. I don't know. Is it actually like a actual drop representation?
We should use the same for group and port search.
No. But I think to answer your question, the way you can detect that there's extra flows is because they actually pull and check how many flows are on the switch, so they can compare. They see compare and ask more pointed questions.
Because the process part we should really get it right, but
Yeah.
from slideware to code in day and a half is a good thing.
Well, I don't think it was slideware. I don't think it was slideware to code in a day. I got the slides, and then a day and a half later there was code. So I don't know if kind of like.
Because otherwise the speed is good.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it worked. I think there was code before the slideware. But anyway.
Is that solution for you?
Oh yeah, apparently.
Okay, so where's changing?
I'm here.
I know, last night I had seen it, it was out there. It's like, where'd he go?
I was about halfway in.
Okay, go ahead. Take it away.
Oh, can I be the presenter?
Sure.
I have something to show. Okay. So yes, that's my screen.
Sure.
Okay. So for security mode ONOS, we made significant improvements since our Cardinal release, and then for our app policy, we now not only support specifying app permissions, but also extra OSGI permissions and also regular Java permissions. And here's here's an example policy file. So you can define user application's role. Is this big enough?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So these are application permissions to specify what are the required permissions for specifically for Northbound API access and calling APIs. And also here we could now we can specify Java permissions, including OSGI permissions. So if an application requires it's a custom OSGI service, you can specify here and then specify actions to use it. And also there are regular permissions like property permissions or runtime permissions. So you can specify like pretty much every permission is available on Java right now. So it kindly it kind of clearly show you what application is going to what kind of resource is going to access or modify or what kind of operation it would do on runtime.
This is per application.
Yep, per application. So if it consists of a multiple number of bundles, the policy will be consistently enforced to all the bundles.
And one future plan potentially is to have a static analysis tool to identify the permissions that your application uses, such that you wouldn't have to generate this by hand.
Yep. Hmm. Okay. And so we also implemented a dedicated distributed store so that we could enforce security policy to all the ONOS nodes consistently. And also we also this dedicated distributed store includes eventually consistent store for policy violation notification. So whenever it detects the policy violation, it will generate an event and notify all the ONOS instances within the cluster. And also we have an application review feature now. Now applications have a security state to signify that if this application's policy has been reviewed or not. So if an application has not been reviewed, the network admin won't be able to activate the application. So here's security mode enabled ONOS, and it's not enough. Okay. Gonna install an app, and then app activate demo application, and then it's gonna give you a warning that demo application has not been reviewed, and then you can review this application. Demo. So it's gonna show you like all the permissions that are specified in the policy file, and then user need to accept it. And then once you accept this, this policy is enforced to all the ONOS instances in the cluster. So after this process, you can activate the app. Demo. So apparently nothing happens because it satisfies all the permission requests. But to show you what happens, it doesn't have a required permission. So I just remove the app read permission. And so I packaged this application with a new security policy. Install it, and then you notice that there's no app read permission. We're going to accept this. When we activate it, then it's going to throw an exception. It doesn't have app read permission, so it throws permission that particular API call is invalidated. So so that was a brief demonstration, and I guess that's all I have for today.
Great.
Any questions or?
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Rusty, are you out there?
Yes, I am. All right.
Here. Okay, so basically where we're at now is the PIM join and prune, as well as PIM address formats. Serialize, deserialize, code is all complete. It passes unit tests. Likewise with PIM hello messages, serialize, deserialize, passing unit tests. And I'm currently actually dev testing. So I've got a PIM router that's actually talking to the code, and I'm going through and doing all sorts of fun debugging stuff. So that's happening right now. We had another guy working. I had another guy working with me for a little while, about a month, and he started working on the IGMP stuff, and he went away. So it kind of stopped at that point. But we do have the serialized, deserialized code and a couple of unit tests. So we're off to a little bit of a start there, and I'll circle back around or find somebody else to help work on that.
What do you mean by IGMP serialize and deserialize and PIM serialize and deserialize?
Oh, yeah. So referring to the, getting a packet in from a neighboring router and unraveling it, parsing it.
I see.
Yeah,
it's marshalling basically. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm specifically using, I found some code in ONOS that does that, with IP, and I'm basically using that same model.
Cool.
So, yeah, so when a PIM hello message comes in, it gets unraveled. The multicast forwarding state gets updated according to whether it's a join, prune, the source, the group, what connect point that it arrived at, that sort of thing. Also, working on getting ironically enough, it's the PIM hello messages that are slightly more complicated. And those are required in order for a join prune message to be accepted by a PIM router or to be sent by a PIM router or accepted by one, it expects to have a neighboring relationship before it'll ever send a join along. So that portion of PIM is being built in.
Do you have, for the IGMP messages, which IGMP messages do you support specifically?
It'll be V3.
So you support all of V3?
Not all of V3 at the moment. What the initial plan is to do IGMP V3 proxy, but that doesn't preclude doing a full development. We do have another portion, like a phase 2 of this that will require more functionality from V3, and I haven't sat down to determine if we need to do a full-blown implementation of it, or we can just work on a subset of it.
Cool.
Okay, so that's about where we're at there. We also have a fellow offshore that's been helping out with some testing, writing some Python test scripts and I had him sometime back 2-3 weeks ago look at the test-on framework that you guys have developed and figure out how we can start using that and integrate some of our system tests into the test-on framework. So he was able to write a couple tests and run them. We have yet to sync up to, turn this into an automated testing thing. But the plan is to, start expanding our test suite using your framework, and likewise, the plan is to, contribute those tests back if anybody else wants to use them. So that's kind of on the testing side, and I'm sorry to say that I'm lagging pretty badly in getting stuff back to Jarrett, and I am one of those people that contributes to your code review woes. But anyway, any suggestions on how I can make that as easy as possible on you, I'm more than happy to try and help out there.
Small Small, easy to digest pieces is best.
Very well.
They're
You know how there's a bar on the side that's like that goes in color, goes
green,
from green,
yellow,
and red. If it's red,
You're telling me to keep them all green all the time?
yeah.
Sometimes you have to, for a unit of functionality, it needs to be big, but ideally you break it into small sort of units of functionality that can be reviewed, and those tend to go quickest.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely make that a very high priority. And,
Anything else, Rusty?
that's kind of it from the development side. We, kind of a side note, we spoke yesterday, Bill, but we have 5-6 vendors that are setting up proof of concept topologies for us in their lab. We're going to pick a vendor that we're going to work with probably the next couple months or so before we start deploying. So we've got a few of them that have been nice enough to put together labs of themselves, and we created like a test document that we want them to walk through and verify that their switches are going to do what we need them to do. So we're kind of working through that. So hopefully in the next month or two, we'll actually get this thing running on some real hardware in a real validation lab, and then in a few months start rolling it out in a limited sort of closely watched production environment. But that's about all I got.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
So there's one other thing that I just remembered from the core, and that's the resource reservations service. There's been, Show's been working on that. We had APIs last sprint. This sprint we've got an initial implementation and also hierarchical reservation support that's begun. I don't know, do you have anything you wanted to add, Show?
No sense.
Okay. But that's under development. Yep. Making good progress.
Okay, good. So any other demos? Nope. Okay, I think that's it then. All right, so thanks everyone. Get your stories ready for Monday to push them into a new sprint.
That's going to be 1 week, 2 weeks?
Probably 2, right?
2 weeks
Just
for
doing stuff, yeah.
2 weeks, and a lot of people are going to be out.